Something is sneaking into your food. From the breakfast cereal you ate to the salad dressing you drizzled on your greens and even the ketchup you slathered on your fries, many of the foods you eat contain an addictive ingredient. Sugar has quickly become the most reviled food item in America, even more so than saturated fat and cholesterol. When Americans were told by their doctors and government standards to reduce their fat and cholesterol intake, many of them resorted to healthy low-fat meals that were, in reality, high in sugar. The Dietary Guidelines Advisory Committee recently released a report in which they identified sugar as a major health risk and suggested limiting daily sugar consumption to 10% of total calories. Added sugars shouldn't account for more than 50% of your daily free calories, according to the American Heart Association, about 6 teaspoons or 100 calories for women, and 9 teaspoons or 150 calories for men. But we're consuming far more sugar than that. The CDC estimates that the average American consumes between 13 and 20 teaspoons of added sugar every day, around 230 calories for women and 335 for men. Sugar, in its unprocessed form, is an essential nutrient for human survival and hardly poses any health risks. Fructose and lactose are two forms of this chemical that can be found in a wide variety of foods. For reasons of taste, texture, or color, sugar is often added to processed foods, which is problematic. You don't have to be in the candy aisle to be surrounded by foods with added sugar. There are a number of negative effects on health from consuming an excessive amount of these calories, the most prominent of which is rapid weight gain. Added sugar raises insulin levels, disrupts metabolism, and causes the body to store the extra calories as visceral fat. Additionally, reducing sugar intake has health benefits that extend far beyond simple weight loss. Besides being able to squeeze into a pair of skinny pants, there are 21 other fantastic reasons to finally conquer your sweet appetite. That's why we've compiled a list of the top 10 reasons to say no to sugar. By the way, something that would be just as sweet as sugar without causing health issues would be for you to subscribe to our channel. If you enjoy content about how to maximize your health naturally, please consider liking and subscribing to this video so that healthy living can go viral. With that said, let's get this video going. Number 10. It can lower your blood pressure. High blood pressure is strongly associated with obesity, which is a direct result of eating too much added sugar. Previously unknown effects of additional sugars on blood pressure have been uncovered. As a result, the heart and arteries have to work harder, which can lead to long-term damage to the entire circulatory system. Long-term, this can cause cardiovascular issues such as heart disease, heart attacks, stroke, renal damage, and artery disease. Additionally, people whose diets contain added sugars accounting for at least 25% of total calories are at twice the risk of death from cardiovascular disease as those whose diets contain added sugars accounting for less than 10% of total calories. Number 9. It decreases your heart attack risk. A recent study found that the risk of having a heart attack was significantly elevated among those individuals whose diets contained higher amounts of added sugar in comparison to those whose intakes were lower. You just need to make one easy adjustment in order to significantly lower your risk, and that is to give up soda. According to the findings of one study, consuming beverages high in sugar was associated with an increased risk of developing coronary heart disease. Up to 1/4 point increase in one's risk of developing cardiovascular disease is associated with each additional can of soda or other sugary beverage consumed. Number 8. It keeps your brain sharp. Although you may have heard that sugar may wear down your tooth enamel, it's much more frightening to learn that it can do the same thing to your brain. Too much sugar in the diet has been shown to lower levels of proteins essential for memory and response. Sugar-fed rats were shown to have slower reaction times and lower levels of synaptic activity compared to their control group counterparts. Increased sugar consumption is linked to metabolic syndrome, a collection of symptoms that has been linked to not only impaired mental capacity but also structural alterations in the brain. Number 7. You'll be less likely to have Alzheimer's and dementia. A diet that contains a lot of added sugar can reduce the amount of a molecule known as brain-derived neurotrophic factor that is produced in the body, BDNF. When it comes to the creation of new memories as well as the retrieval of old ones, this aspect is an essential component. Low levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, BDNF, have been associated to dementia and Alzheimer's disease, and these levels are especially low in people with poor glucose metabolism, diabetics and prediabetics. Number 6. You'll be less prone to depression. More than 4 cans of soda per day was associated with a 30% increased risk of depression among adults aged 65 and more, compared to those who drank unsweetened water, coffee, or tea instead. The brain requires a constant supply of substances like glucose and insulin in order to function properly. Insulin acts as a key that unlocks the cell door for sugar, glucose, to enter the cells once it has entered the body. When your brain is constantly bombarded with sugar, from your Lucky Charms at breakfast to your ice cream sandwich at supper, insulin becomes less effective. There is a direct correlation between this and emotional distress. Number 5. You'll break your addiction to sweet stuff. Animals that binge on sugar develop physical addiction and withdrawal symptoms, according to studies. All of us are familiar with the high we feel after eating a piece of birthday cake because of the release of dopamine, the brain's feel-good chemical. Because excessive sugar consumption blocks natural dopamine transmission, more and more sugar is required to produce the same pleasurable effects. One study found that for patients with food addictions, just seeing a milkshake triggered the same regions of the brain that respond to cocaine. It seems drugs aren't the only thing you should avoid. Number 4. It will keep your skin looking young. The appeal to your ego comes next. Excessive use of added sugar over several years can cause skin to become lifeless and wrinkly. This is because of glycation, in which sugar in the blood binds to proteins to create advanced glycation end products, AGEs, which are toxic. Wrinkles and drooping skin are the result of AGE damage to collagen and elastin, the protein fibers that keep skin firm and elastic. They also reduce the effectiveness of your body's antioxidant enzymes, making you more susceptible to sunburn. It has been observed that the hormonal changes brought on by eating sugary foods with a high glycemic index can affect the severity of acne. Psoriasis isn't the only skin ailment connected to inflammation from sugar overload. Number 3. It will lower your risk of diabetes. There is an association between drinking 1 to 2 sugary beverages daily, or more, and an increased risk of acquiring type 2 diabetes by 26%. This risk can be further increased by drinking more than 2 sugary drinks daily. Many forms of sugar, including fructose, glucose, and others, are effectively stuck in the bloodstream as a result of the high insulin resistance that is produced when an excessive amount of sugar is consumed. This high insulin resistance is produced when an individual consumes an excessive amount of sugar. Because having high blood sugar levels is a risk factor for the development of both prediabetes and full-blown diabetes, it is important to keep track of your blood sugar levels. Number 2. It can help prevent fatty liver disease. According to the findings of a number of research, consuming a diet that is high in added sugar may make fatty liver disease more severe. Are you familiar with the condition known as fatty liver disease? Because it is one of the most prevalent diseases in the United States, you are not alone in having this condition. In essence, the sugar-induced increase in insulin promotes inflammation and damage in the liver by pushing fat into the cells of the organ. This occurs as a result of the sugar's ability to raise insulin levels. This sickness is not only a major risk factor for diabetes, heart disease, and cancer, but it also increases the likelihood of developing all 3 of these conditions. Number 1. It can help reduce your risk of certain cancers. Although the evidence is not entirely conclusive, there is some speculation that consuming an excessive amount of added sugar in one's diet may increase one's risk of developing a variety of cancers, including pancreatic cancer. This is despite the fact that the evidence is not completely conclusive. There you have it. Was this information enough to change how you approach your sugar intake? Leave your answer in the comments section below. If this video was helpful, please like and subscribe so that health can go viral. I hope you enjoy this content. Stay tuned for more videos on how to improve your health. Eat well and prosper.